Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across, it's turned in! It's Pittman who's got it! Livingston leads!
Road is long.
Now can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead!
Man, score.
If we march to
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates! And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston. We're gonna go.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club and Scottish football. My name's Ewan, and today I'm joined by Angus, and Andy also returns. Callum is currently up in Pittodrie, I assume. Guys, how are we feeling? Because this is straight after the game, so penalties have quite literally just finished, so how we feel?
Yeah, deflated, frustrated. Yeah, any other word ended in "ed," I guess. not very impressed with.
So you're elated, ends in
no, not
So
quite.
that's a
so
strange way of feeling about getting knocked out of Scottish Cup, Angus.
Yeah, not so much, but aye, a tough one to take. But also, there's positives to take, which we'll get on to, I imagine.
And Andy, you look like you're about to cry.
Yeah, I'm going to struggle tonight, to be honest. But I'm going to use this opportunity before you start slagging me, Ewan, to plug my little 5k in May for charity. I know you've been taking the piss out of me since I announced it the last couple of days, but just to put it out there, I'm doing 5k every day in May, attempting anyway. So I'm raising money for charity on 4th. So go to my Twitter, you'll find the link at the top. Donate
Andy,
as much as you can.
I have a question relating to this, and so last week obviously you missed the podcast, and Ewan made a remark saying that you don't run for anything. Is this entire charity thing with to try and disprove that fact, and you're trying to make up for it just because we hurt your feelings a wee bit last week?
Well, he didn't even manage to run the first 5k today, so
I mean, it hadn't crossed my mind, but now that you've put it out there, I wasn't there to defend myself last week. So yes, I started doing a little bit of training today. Didn't quite get to the 5k, but I'm building my way up to it. There's 31 days in May, so we'll do 5k. They might not be the quickest, but as I say, donate to it. It's a great cause, Cash for Kids, and you know where to find it. Anyway,
Andy, I do a lot of running. So what I could do is I could run with like a pie on a string tied behind me, and like act as an incentive for you to run a bit quicker than that. What do you think?
Yeah, like I say, we're digressing. We're here to talk about the devastating outcome tonight and how excited we are for the Hibs game. So crack on, Ewan.
Well, you can listen to this episode and all our other episodes on your preferred podcast streaming site. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube, plus loads more. So just search for TalkLivi. Follow us and subscribe if you can, so you won't miss another episode. It's another quick one this week, so obviously we'll look back at the events at Pittodrie this afternoon as Livi exited the Scottish Cup for this season. And we'll then look ahead to the midweek game with Hibs at Easter Road.
As we've just been discussing, it was a trip north for Livi on Saturday as we faced an Aberdeen side with new management in the dugout. Stephen Glass took charge of his first game for the Dons in this one. Livi have had a fantastic season in the cup competitions this season, but it was to end in the Granite City as we followed last week's 6-0 trouncing in Glasgow with heartbreak as we went out on penalties. Lads, as we've just been discussing, a pretty hard one to take in the end, wasn't it?
Yes. it's incredibly disappointing, but I think, Angus kind of touched on it. I think there are a lot of positives to take from the game as a whole. I think, I think it raised a few eyebrows that the only change was Max going in between the sticks for Robbie after the performance last week. There was one kind of minor tweak, which was Alan Forrest playing through the middle, Jet playing out wide on the right, and boy, did it work, because I thought Jet was incredible today. Absolutely incredible. Thought we looked pretty comfortable. There was very little in the game in terms of chances. I know Nicky had one early on and Hornby had one that was saved, but I think we pressed Aberdeen really well. We looked like we were allowing Considine and Hoban to try and come out in the ball, and as soon as the ball was played into kind of the middle third or out wide, we latched onto that and tried to press and get joy out of that, and I think we did it really well. But the opening goal, Jets capitalised on a mistake by Hayes. He's kept the ball in play, drifted inside. Pitts has done really well to keep the ball alive, and Jets rolled it into the corner. Brilliant individual goal from Jet. And I think, went in at half-time. We looked really comfortable in the game, in my opinion. Even going into the second half, there wasn't a lot that Aberdeen were creating. Ferguson had a header comfortably saved by Max. But the big turning point in the game, I said at half-time in our group chat, I thought, Nicky had been quite reserved in going forward. And I think that was to combat the fact they had Jet in front of him. And the one time Nicky really ventured forward and almost created a second goal for us, balling forward brilliantly. And Aberdeen have caught us with an absolute sucker punch on the counter-attack down that side. The one time it's probably been left open to go down. It's a good finish by McGinn, but for me, Guthrie has to do a lot better with the clearance. I think he swung what looked quite a lazy leg at it. He has to do better, and then I think Aberdeen were in the ascendancy from kind of there on, and going to extra time. Jet, the penalty, it's soft category is the way I would put it, but he's went and tucked it away. But the old cliche coming out, you're always at your most vulnerable when you've just scored, and Aberdeen went up the park again and got the equaliser. I think it might have been Holt that actually lost Canberry for the goal. It looked like he seemed to drift off him, and again I think there was really only one team in extra time. I think we looked dead on our feet, and obviously it comes to penalties, it's a bit of a lottery, but Holt's the unlucky one that's misses kind of cost us in the shootout. But I think for me, there's a lot of positives to take from the performance, but at the end of the day, cup football's cup football. Performances don't necessarily matter. We're out the cup, and we need to wait another season to potentially have some Scottish Cup glory.
Yeah, you basically summed that up perfectly well there. In the 90 minutes, I would go as far to say that I think we were probably the better team, but as you say, that one instance of play where we go so close to making it 2-0 and then suddenly it's 1-1, it kills us completely. Momentum's like the biggest kind of power in football, and all the momentum was in Aberdeen's favour after that bit of play. That also coincided with the fact that our team completely tired. You could see a lot of players were leggy, players were starting to go down with cramp because they had given it all. They had worked tremendously so, and I don't think there's a single player out there who didn't really do themselves justice. I think they knocked their pan in from start to finish. And as you say, yeah, it's a couple of kind of slack moments that have cost us. A couple like Guthrie, he's been so tremendous for us ever since he's joined the club, but it is kind of a lazy leg that he has swung at it, and we've been punished for it. And against teams like Aberdeen, that's going to eventually happen to you. Maybe we get away with that a week if we're playing like say Ross County or a Hamilton or something, somebody who, they don't have as much quality going forward. I know Aberdeen haven't been in the best of form lately, especially in goal scoring terms, but if you give somebody like Niall McGinn, somebody who's played like European Championships and that, the opportunity to tuck one away like that, he's going to do so. And yeah, going into extra time, I think we did well to kind of like stay in the game essentially, and we made a wee change to go free at the back. Alan Lithgow coming on, and Jack Fitzwater ended up coming off with cramp as well to bring Taylor Sinclair on. But yeah, as the whole performance goes, there's a lot to be positive about, especially coming off the back of such a terrible performance last week. I would even go as far to say that this is the best performance Livi have had since the last time that we played Aberdeen up in Pittodrie, which seems like quite a wee while ago, probably, what is it, 10 games ago? Yeah, it's easily the best performance I'd say that we've had, and there's a lot of definitely positives to take. I mean, for me as well, looking at the tweak that we had with Jet and Forrest like switching up, I think Forrest did tremendously well up against Hoban and Considine. It was very intelligent play, just letting him press the players down, and whenever he kind of got the ball in those areas, he was beating players and causing trouble. Jet again, unbelievable today. Jet was absolutely tremendous. That's his best performance in a Livi shirt, and it's very positive to see that how good he was on the ball, he was also matching that in terms of his work rate. I mean, the fact that he played the entire 130 minutes tells you all about like how kind of far he's came, and he didn't look to be tiring or that. I mean, obviously fatigue would come in, but he didn't seem to kind of drop his performance at all. He was very good at holding the ball up. He was taking players on. He was putting himself about, and he got his goals, and he deservedly did so. And as David's always said, if you can get Jet to like full fitness, we've probably got one of the best forwards in the league, and I think today backed that up. If Jet can continue that, we've got a real gem in our hands, and yeah, it's an absolute positive for us to take. But as you say, losing a game on penalties, it's always hard. But the fact that we've went there on a away ground that we've not had an awful lot of joy in, we've done so well, and we've came so close to nicking something, it just makes it sting that wee bit more. But we'll have to dust ourselves off. Great chance to put things right on midweek there. Hopefully have a similar performance, although we may have rotation due to how the game went to extra time today. But disappointed, but I'm not going to get too down because there is definitely things to be, happy about in that performance.
I'm devastated, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I think it's an absolutely massive opportunity missed. When you look at the draw for the last sort of 8, Dundee United at home, we'd controlled 75 minutes of that game, I felt. And just a slack error at the back has allowed them back into the game, as you have spoke about. And yeah, it's one of these games. Nearing the end of the season, we're in a position we're not going to obviously get dragged into trouble down the bottom. We're in the top 6, but we're kind of in that limbo where we're probably not going to catch the team above us. That could be a game today that really disheartens a lot of the players, and I know we're not a team that go about it like that. We're quite good at bouncing back for disappointment, but that was our season there for me. If we'd won that game, the players get a buzz off it. We go on and enjoy the rest of the season. I can envisage us having a real tough time to end the season, to be honest. It's going to be really difficult for the management to lift the players after that for me, because as you have both mentioned, I thought we were very good. We were very good, just a couple of slack errors. And I think that the most gutting thing for me is how the equalisers came about, because we're literally a final ball away for going 2-0 up. If Devlin fires that across the 6-yard box instead of try to cut it back, which, the ball was on to cut back, it just probably wasn't the best option. But if he fires it across the 6-yard box, we've got a tap in, we win the game, we're in the quarterfinals. We have a great opportunity to get to the last 4 again in the Scottish Cup. It just feels like a massive opportunity missed to me, and that's not to take away from the performance, because you're right, it was a good performance at a tough place. But let's be honest, Aberdeen have been pretty poor this season as well. They're not scoring a lot of goals. They were there for the taking today, and we've let them off the hook for me. We should be the ones in the next round of the Cup, and we're not. And Aberdeen fans will be sitting rubbing their hands together thinking, how have we managed that? Because for 75 minutes, we controlled the game, and we should never have been in the position that we were in extra time. And then the worst thing out of it all is, we've gone 2-1 up, early on in extra time. And as you mentioned, Ewan, we've then allowed them back in it right fairly quickly again. With it, you'd think we'd maybe learn a lesson a little bit, and we've not. The penalties are lotteries for me. I think Max makes it far too easy for Aberdeen players. Obviously penalties are penalties. It's always difficult for a goalkeeper, but for me, he's made it quite easy. He's went down pretty quickly. That's not. Max had a good game. He had a solid game. came for everything, crosses, caught everything. He saved what he had to save, but for me, he made it easy in the penalties. But yeah, I'm conflicted just now because it was a good performance, but I'm devastated for the players. You know, they put so much into that. You mentioned that they were dead on their feet at the end for the last 5 minutes. How it got to penalties, I've no idea, because we were going down left, right and centre. But yeah, opportunity missed, and I'm gutted for everybody involved, to be honest.
There was a wee controversial moment in extra time, not our penalty, but Tommy Hoban, yellow card, scythe Scott Pittman down as he's going bearing down on the 18-yard box. Should be a second yellow, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he could have many complaints if he did get a second booking for that at all. You think the referee's done him a favour there, but at the same time, we've also got a penalty that's definitely not a penalty. I mean, you described it as soft. I think that's being very generous as well, but yeah.
Can I reiterate? I actually think it was a Stonewall penalty. It was an assault, if I'm totally honest, and Jet, and it's a miracle the lad Dean Campbell's not been pulled up by the police. It was a disgusting challenge, which makes the fact that Hoban got away with that yellow even worse.
But yeah, it is frustrating that, you know, obviously the referee's probably been playing that on his mind. If he does book Hoban, then all the Aberdeen kind of like players that are going to be on his back for that. So maybe that has played an influence in his decision, but it is quite late in the game. Is there going to be an awful lot that comes from it? Possibly so, because we would have had a whole lot of the pressure kind of taken off us. I know that we would kind of hold out until it did get to penalties, but it does kind of change the format of the game. It changes the mentality of the players. But yeah, I can't really look at it and be like, it's too much of a game defining decision. Especially with the assault that we got a penalty for.
Yeah, it's one of these ones. I agree. I never spoke about the penalty in my little sort of feel sorry for my moment. It wasn't a penalty, let's be honest, that we got. It was a second yellow card for Hoban, but these things swing in roundabouts, don't they? We got one in the game itself with the penalty. The thing
is, it's another game changing moment, because then you get 20 minutes in extra time against 10 men. You know, it could make a massive difference in the game. But as you say, we did get a bit of, well, actually no, we got what we deserved, which was a penalty.
No, you're right, and this is what frustrates managers and fans. You know, there's no consistency for me. You know, the referees waved play on. You know, we're getting a free kick 30 yards out in the middle of the goal. You know, and he's waved play on with no advantage. Now, he knows fine well that Hoban's been booked. You know, so it's without a doubt a second yellow card, and he's got out of one there by allowing an advantage, which should never have been given in the first place. But yeah,
regardless of an advantage, though, he should be pulling the play back and going for the yellow card after it. But
yeah, no, absolutely, I totally agree. But this is the inconsistencies of refereeing in the country and right across the world. You know, referees make mistakes, and it's just so happens we were on the end of one there, but we also got one in our favour, and that frustrates a lot of people. But yeah, what I would say, you know, because it's been a lot of doom and gloom for me, you know, I agree with you on Jet. I thought it was by far his best game. I think we're seeing a little bit about him, what Davey's been talking about now with his technical ability. I think if we can keep Jet fit, he could be a real asset for us if we decide to extend his contract beyond the season. I think he'll be a good asset to us. I think we need more. I think next season, but I think that'll come with obviously Jack Hamilton returning. Hopefully he gets a run of games, and you know, without a doubt, he was the best player for us. And you know, again, we talk about Pittman every week. You know, that man has got so much energy. 120 minutes, he's still chasing down, you know, to block a cross, and you know, it's absolutely incredible. And I agree with you as well, Angus. I thought Alan Forrest up top actually worked, which is why I was slightly surprised that we brought on Poblatnik when Cabia was sitting on the bench, because I felt Cabia offered a very similar style of play to Forrest, you know, that sort of unpredictability that Alan Forrest sometimes offers. So that's the way I would have went. But again, that's not to criticise anything. I thought we were very good. Just gutted that we're out in the way that we have went out.
So now that the Scottish Cup adventure's over for this season, what's the targets for the remainder of the season? Andy, you touched on it. You think it's going to be doom and gloom, but you are the doom and gloom merchant of this podcast. And guess what's your thoughts?
It's basically just to pick up as many points as possible. It's probably going to be quite tough because obviously we've got games against Rangers coming up. Obviously we've got Hibs away, but we've also got we've got St Johnstone away as well. We've just got to kind of be looking to exact revenge on these teams who have taken points off us lately. We've got to get revenge on St Johnstone from the cup final. We've got to get revenge on Aberdeen from today. Try and be the first team to beat Rangers again. That's essentially what we've kind of got to do. I do kind of share similar feelings of Andy of being quite pessimistic when it comes to these kind of final games. But at the same time, we're in the top six, and this is where we want to be. Essentially, we want to be. Although these games are slightly meaningless, we want to be at this end of the season kind of way, playing against the better teams rather than those diddies who are positioned 7th to 12th. Like, who cares about them? In all honesty.
Listen, I know I was negative, and it's just very difficult to bounce back for as players. I'm sure it's very difficult to bounce back from such a massive disappointment that was. They put so much into it and got no reward from it. And then you go into another game on Wednesday against Hibs, which is going to be a tough game, and it's following a really tough spell of games for us. Away to Celtic Park, away to Pittodrie, away to Easter Road. Tough runny fixtures, and if we come out of that having got absolutely nothing from any of them, it's very difficult. The target should undoubtedly now be finish 5th, and I think we'll do that because I can't see St Johnstone picking up as many points as what we've got just now. So I think we will finish 5th, but it will be interesting how we go into these last few games of the league, and how we line up, because there will be a view to next season, I think, now going forward.
Well, it was as we say, it was a very disappointing evening in Pittodrie, but let's move on and look towards the game on Wednesday night against Hibs at Easter Road.
It's back to league business during the week as we travel to the capital to face Hibs at Easter Road. Hibs, who are looking to secure 3rd spot and a guaranteed spot in the group stages of Europe next season, will be looking to avenge the 3-0 defeat earlier in the campaign. For us, well, things can only get better than after the last couple of results. Tough one again this week. How do you see it going?
Well, as Andy's mentioned, we're getting beaten every game between now and the end of the season. So I'm not expecting anything from Easter Road based on Andy's assumption. Nah, look, we've had quite a good record against Hibs since we came back up into the top flight. I think we're a team. I actually listened to Marv on Open Goal, and he was talking about it being a Hibs player when he was there, and folk just don't like playing us. They want to get us out of the way almost. And I think the way we play, the kind of spine of our team, we can be a bit direct, kind of mix it up, be a bit physical, and I think that's helped us get the upper hand on Hibs, as I say, since we got promotion. But Hibs have now got maybe a wee bit of a challenge on their hand to secure 3rd spot. I think there's only 4 points in it between them and Aberdeen, and they've still to play as well. So they'll be looking to try and go into that game with Aberdeen with that kind of cushion of 4-point gap. So they'll obviously be looking to try and do one over on us, and they've not beat us at Easter Road since we've been promoted. So they'll be looking to kind of set that right as well. But I think they've got a bit more to play for than us, which in these kind of split fixtures, I think does count for a lot. If you look back to our first season back in the top flight, we had 5 games, but we were in that kind of, as you say, we're safe, we're not going to get dragged into anything, and teams were picking up points against us because of that. So it depends how the players react, and they've obviously put a lot into the game today. There could be changes made to kind of freshen it up a wee bit as well. So I think it's quite a difficult one to predict, but I think Hibs, to be honest, will be clear favourites for the game. But we have gone to Easter Road this season and wiped the floor with them already. So we're capable of going there and causing another upset.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, and that's really what I was elaborating to in the last little bit, that Hibs, the teams we're going to be playing in this split, probably minus Rangers, Celtic, although they're still good sides and they're likely to beat us anyway, have all got something to play for. Aberdeen are trying to chase down Hibs are trying to confirm sixth, and St Johnstone are trying to run down us, trying to catch us.
That's a bit strange for Hibs to be wanting to confirm sixth place when they're sitting third. That's really negative.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we're in that kind of limbo, and it's why I'm just not confident going into these final few games. Hibs are looking to secure third place, Ewan, and I think they'll be too good for us on the day. You're quite right. We have got a good record since returning to Easter Road. A lot of draws in there. We obviously done them 3-0 the last game at Easter Road as well. And but what I would say is we had wee Robbo up front. It's no longer with us, who caused them a lot of problems that day. Josh Mullen played in that one. He's not really been in the team recently. So there's a couple of players that really hurt Hibs in the last game that haven't really been playing or is not going to be involved at all. I think there's a big difference between having Alan Forrest and Jet and playing up there, as much as they were excellent to Josh Mullen and Scott Robinson in this game. And whether they two play at all in this game, I have my doubts. After playing in the game against Aberdeen, I can see there being a few changes. After the players putting so much into it, will be interesting to see how we line up. But without being the doom and gloom merchant that I seem to always be, I'm just struggling to see us getting anything from this one. I think Hibs will be too good for us on the day.
I think it's always a strange one when we play Hibs, because I feel like they're kind of like the ideal team for us to play at times. Obviously, a lot's kind of said about Livingston and how we can be physical regardless of who's playing. I mean, you mentioned some of the players who caused them such trouble that day. You wouldn't say that they're really overly physical players, but Hibs sometimes don't really seem to like the challenge of coming up against us, and I think that's something that always gives us a bit of a benefit as well. What also gives me a wee bit of hope going into this game is the fact that we're playing at Easter Road. Hibs this season have been much better away from home. I think they've picked up like 10 points more on the road than they have at home. Their home form's quite patchy. They rarely struggle to win kind of consecutive games at home and that. So I think there is a good opportunity here to maybe take something from it, kind of going on to that kind of the way you're touching about Forrest and Jet possibly playing. If the way that Jet played against Aberdeen there, against two big physical centre-halves like Hoban, Considine and that, I think we could probably take a lot of positive from that going up against Hibs, because, I mean, we've seen twice already what can happen with likes of Paul Hanlon and Ryan Porteous when somebody puts a wee bit of pressure on or does something that they don't really like. They can be forced into making mistakes. At the other side, though, you've got to be very wary of the fact that they've got the likes of Martin Boyle and Kevin Nisbet are having absolutely tremendous seasons that have got them like recognition at international level and possibly Team of the Year candidates as well. So yeah, I always feel like I'm repeating myself, like say the exact same thing whenever we talk about Hibs. They can be got at, but you also have to be very careful on the flip side as well, because they have that the possibility to damage you as well. I mean, they are third place for a reason. They have been the third best team. But at the same time, I think that there are areas that we can exploit. And if we give it anything like we did today, I think that we can go into the game feeling kind of confident, in all honesty. I don't think that we should be going into it being expecting to get beat. I think we've got to go into this. I know you're shaking your head, Andy, but why not? We got beat in the first game of the season against them. We beat them 3-0 away and then we drew 1-1 with them. I don't think that there really is an awful lot for us to be overly paranoid about. Maybe that's just me being a wee bit too positive, but yeah, let's see what happens.
I think, Nisbet had been out the team from kind of January after all the transfer rumours, and he's been back in and amongst the goals, and Doidge as well has been back in amongst the goals recently after a kind of barren spell, which sadly culminated in an equaliser against us. But again, he scored in the Scottish Cup tie as well. So they're back on form. As you say, Boyle's had a really good season. So they're forward players, which is where Hibs always tend to be quite strong. are hitting a bit of form at the right time in this kind of run in to go and try and secure third spot. And I think that's something we need to be wary of, because at the back we've not been quite as assured since our kind of unbeaten run came to an end back in February time. So that's something we need to be wary of. But I wouldn't say there's anything to be scared of with Hibs. As I say, we've got a very good record against them. Yes, they done us over on the first home game of the season back in August, but the other two games have been very competitive. I think we should have beaten them recently at home as well. So we don't need to be scared. And I think, as I say, it's difficult with these games when we don't have as much to play for. We're the unpredictable team, because we've come off the back of that result. Or are we just going to turn up and go, you know what, we've got nothing to play for, nothing to lose, let's just go for it, let's go and get points on the board and see what happens. It's a difficult game in our position to predict. Hibs know what their objective is, and it's securing third place. So I think it's a really difficult one to call.
Free Cabia. That's what I've got to say on this. Where's this boy disappeared to? You don't remember when he burst onto the scene and we're all waxing lyrical about this boy? This is a great opportunity now to get him some games, in my opinion. And also let's give Diani a wee go as well. We're going to make changes to this game. There's no doubt about it. After 120 minutes and players dead on their feet against Aberdeen, we're going to make changes. So let's give Cabby a go for the start. Let's give Diani a go for the start. And let's see what these boys have got, because Martindale's going on about Diani coming in next season, on a permanent move, So let's give him these 3 or 4 games, to play, and let's see if he's good enough for this level. Because I can certainly see some changes. I spoke about Josh Millen. He's not played the last few games. He'll be nice and fresh for this one. And obviously, as I said, that he caused them a few problems. The other thing I say is, how good has Jackson Longridge been since he's came back? A lot of people were surprised at that move. A lot of people didn't rate him. They didn't rate him in League One. They didn't rate him in the Championship. But people forget that he was a part of a legendary Livingston side, and he should be given a little bit more respect. And he's came back into the team this season, after signing, and he's made that left back position his own. And I think he's been excellent. And I think we need to push that point, because for me, in these last however many games it's been that we have been struggling, for me he's been the standout, by a considerable distance for me. I don't know what you think of that.
Just to touch on your Cabia point, that could be something which gives us that little bit of spark going into these last few games. Is Davey spoke about him being that youthful exuberance, earlier in the season when he came in, and it's maybe something like that we need, going into these last few games, just to give us a little bit of spark and a little bit of energy kind of at the top end of the park. Talking about Jacko, I mean, again, I'm going to disagree with many Livingston fans. I've never really quite understood the criticism that Jacko gets. I've never quite got it. I know he could have a lapse moment here or there, but so can every player. And I think Jacko's matured a lot in his time away from the club. He had another season back in the Championship at Dunfermline, was their Player of the Year. And then he's gone down south as well. It's a difficult move all the time, going down south with the number of games you play. I think, as I say, he's matured a lot as a player on the park, and I've been really impressed with him since he's came back in. And as you say, he's the nailed on choice at left back going into next season for me. But as I say, I never quite understood the criticism he got in the first place.
I can only imagine maybe people are still kind of thinking of Jackson Longridge as that left back who played in that disastrous playoff games against Stranraer those years ago. Maybe that's kind of done a whole bunch of bad for his kind of general opinion within Livingston fans. But we've also got to remember, was Craig Halkett not a part of that squad as well?
He was indeed, yeah.
Think of the kind of way that he's held in regard as well. I'm not going to lie, I will say that I'm probably one of the people when Longridge rejoined, I was like, okay, that'll be interesting. I'll need to see what he's up to, essentially. At this level, I wasn't entirely convinced at first. But yeah, as you guys say, he's been tremendous since joining us. He's just really, really solid at the back, and maybe could do a wee bit more kind of on the attacking side, but he's probably the one defender in recent weeks who's been kind of fully switched on at all times. He's kind of been the one who's bailed us out a couple of times. I mean, that last game against Hibs, that kind of clearance off the goal line before, I believe it was either Boyle or Deutsch was about to get to it, is game saving essentially. So yeah, but at the same time, obviously we've played a lot of football here. Jackson Longridge maybe a bit fatigued. Would you be opposed to seeing him come out of the squad for maybe the likes of Jack McMillan to start from the beginning?
Well, obviously that was something in the Aberdeen game I didn't mention, was the fact that Big Al came on, got half an hour under his belt in extra time, which was fantastic to see. He obviously tucked away his penalty brilliantly as well. Is that one you could maybe see getting a run out against Hibs? I know it's been a long layoff for him. Do you maybe see him getting 45 minutes or something like that? And the other one was Jack McMillan came on out of the blue, and he looked quite energetic. He's obviously not played a lot of minutes recently. He's got another year left in his contract after not a lot of football this year. So are these guys that they think are going to get a chance at Easter Road?
Aye, with Alan Lithgow, it seems to be quite an interesting one, because obviously we talked about how we could put pressure on Hibs as like kind of defensive players and we could maybe force an issue. Is having Alan Lithgow in the park for, having those long throws every time the ball gets remotely close to the final third, is that something that we could use to, to be at our advantage? I mean, not only is the long throw so effective in that way, you're also playing on the minds of like the Hibs team, where every time that they're getting the ball in their own half, they're kind of hesitant to just put the ball out and clear it, and they might lead them to, overplaying and causing issues to themselves. So yeah, I think that'd be an interesting one. Whether or not he's got that long, he's got the ability to play for like maybe over an hour or so at this level, so straight away, will be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't think it would be too much of a harm, especially with Fitzwater looking as if he's kind of cramped up a wee bit. We could maybe see a return to the kind of the back five formation. Even the likes of like Effie Ambrose coming in as well possibly could happen, to kind of make it a wee bit easier for Lithgow, so he's not kind of carrying the whole bear that he may have to do if he was in a back four. But yeah, I think that'd be an interesting one to see, and one that could bring us a lot of joy.
I'm struggling with that one, to be honest, and I'm a big Alan Lithgow fan. And he's rightfully going to be seen as a club legend, but I'm not convinced after such a long layoff that he has the ability now to step into the team at this level, and that's really sad for me to say. I hope at the end of the season, because I think he will leave, I think he will go, that he goes with, obviously he will go with the club's best wishes, but I hope he goes and finds a club and he enjoys the rest of his career. But I think it'll be a step too far for him now. If we are going to play him, I think it would need to be in a back three or a back five, because I think he would get shown up for pace. I think even that small cameo that he had in the Aberdeen game, I think showed him up as lacking very much with pace. I know he's never been a quick player, but I think it showed considerably that he's lost what pace he did have.
I think you need to bear in mind with that, Andy, though, is that he's played approximately 40 minutes of football in 16 months. I think you need to bear that in mind, with maybe not looking the sharpest at times.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I totally get that, and it breaks my heart to say this sort of thing about Alan Lithgow, because he is rightfully a club hero and a club legend, but I just think after such a bad injury and a long term out, to step in at this level at the age he's at now, and I think he'll probably admit himself that he was never the most technically gifted player in the world. He's the type of defender that just boots it clear, and so yeah, I don't think we'll see much of Alan. He'll get the odd appearance if he does play. I hope he does well, and yeah, but I can't see him sort of hanging around at the end of the season. On Jack McMillan, he's a different story for me, and I spoke about Jack McMillan at length earlier in the season. I think he's really, really unlucky that he's not had more game time, to be honest. He was voted Young Player of the Year last year. He had an excellent season last season, and he's not had enough minutes, in my opinion, this season. I think he always gives you that consistency, whether it be at right back or left back. Defensively, he's very good. And he does get up and down the wing as well. So if he gets a few games, I'd be quite happy to see that. But yeah, I can see a few changes. But anyway, I've gone on at length, doom and gloom. You guys have tried to be a little bit more positive. So predictions will be interesting for this one. Ewan, we'll start with you this time.
I'm going to go a defeat. I just think Hibs have a bit too much to play for going into the tail end of the season, and as you say, that kind of dampener today going out in penalties. I think we're going to get beat. I think it's going to be. I'm going to go 2-0 Hibs. Angus,
what are you thinking?
I'm going to back us to keep us not losing at Hibs since we've been promoted. I'm not going to go for a win. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, though. I think it could be quite an interesting game. Maybe kind of similar to a game we had, was it last season or the season before? We went 2-0 up and then kind of got pegged back. Maybe something like that. But I'll go 2 each.
God, I don't think I can take us throwing away a 2-0 lead after this. I don't think I could take that, Angus. You've usually saved the podcast in the past by predicting wins regardless. So these last 2 weeks have been a real sort of mind-blowing moment for me listening to you predicting us getting defeated.
I get a point this week because we did get beat. So,
but listen, I agree. I think going the whole theme of this for me today has been the effects of the Aberdeen game. So
3-0 Livingston.
I can't see us getting much from it. I'm gonna go 3-1 Hibs. I just think they'll be too good for us on the night, and I think the game today will have taken its effect. But listen, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully you're wrong as well, Angus. I'm not even sure that I want you to be right either, throwing away a 2-goal lead. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully things can begin to go in the up for us when we get back to more positive results going forward.
That's it for this week's episode of TalkLivi. Thanks again to every single one of you for tuning in, week out. If you can, we'd love to hear your feedback. Either leave us a review on iTunes or simply message us on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram.
As Ewan said, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search TalkLivi to find us. You'll find all the links to our weekly episodes on there as well. You can also find all our episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If none of those options suit you though, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we've done over the last few years.
That's it for this week. Thanks again for tuning in. For now, from all of us here at the official TalkLivi podcast, we hope you have a great week.
Livingston, a love will never die. West Lothian is our battle cry. This is the place from which we hail. Livingston, oh Livingston, it's up to Amberville. Livingston, 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 oh Livingston, oh Livingston, we love it when you score. Livingston, oh Livingston, the Amberville Lions roar. Livingston, oh Livingston, we realize our vision. Livingston, oh Livingston, into the Premier Division.